Hey there, welcome to an impromptu episode of Inner Impact. I decided to record it when I realized that I needed slightly more room than a newsletter could give me. And the idea comes from a thought a business friend shared with me a couple of days ago when I was sharing that in my weekly or monthly reviews, I always have a prompt that sounds like, what would you like to celebrate and how will you do that? You know, almost every single person I worked with or talked to about celebration shared that same identical thought at some point. So let's talk about it. The thought sounds like this. Well, I love the idea of celebrating, but I always struggle to figure out what I like to do to celebrate. Does it sound familiar? Well, if it does, this episode is for you. Because today I am going to give you some prompts and exercises so you can get started with celebrations. But first, let's talk about why celebrating is important. And I am going to use some passages from one of my past blog posts here to set the scene. So we are living in times of war, of pain, horror, and grief. And I get that thinking about celebrating can feel inappropriate. However, if we are listening or reading this, the episode or the blog post version of it, it means that we are privileged enough to have food, a roof, and no bombs over our heads. We have our basic needs met and probably even more. So I believe that we can acknowledge this privilege and use it to honor our lives and contribute to the collective good. But to do that, to be able to have a positive impact and honor our lives, we need to care for ourselves and our well-being so that we can regenerate our confidence and energy, enjoy our time on earth, and join forces to transform the world. And celebration is a tool that can support us in doing it because it helps us ground in the present moment. It helps us savor our accomplishments and acknowledge the steps and the process that made them possible. It helps us see the things from the perspective of the steps and the time and energy it takes to create something. And it helps us acknowledge ourselves for having been willing to try and take those steps. And this positively impacts our self-worth. However, no matter the time and context, apparently celebrating ourselves and our wins is hard. I see it in my clients, I see it in my business friends, I see it in myself. There's always some kind of resistance toward it. So why is it so tough to acknowledge our accomplishments and ourselves? Well, I don't have a definitive answer, of course, but I have some ideas about the causes, 3 specifically. So I think that the first cause is that accomplishments tend to always feel too small or irrelevant. And this usually happens when we set success measures that are not truly aligned with our core selves, but mimic someone else's measures or some internalized external expectations. The second cause is that we look forward to the next step or goal and feel we don't have time to dwell in the present. This usually stems from a passionate, enthusiastic nature combined with the concept of that never-ending production cycles of capitalism into which we were born, raised, and conditioned, of course. The third cause is that we don't feel we've done enough or that we are enough. And this tends to come from an entanglement of our lived experience, which may have led to impaired self-worth and self-esteem and or broad trauma with the influence of the context in which we grew up. That is, again, a capitalistic society where the push to do more and produce more is constant. So what happens next is that we don't celebrate ourselves and our accomplishments, and that is detrimental to our well-being and reinforces the negative cycle. Now, when we do the hard work and are able to learn and unlearn, acknowledge and overcome the three causes I just outlined, we may still stumble onto a new block. That is, not knowing what we'd like to do to celebrate. And I think that this probably happens because we've been so separated from the concepts of pleasure, fun, and play that we don't know what we'd love to do just for fun anymore. So let's see how we can overcome this block too, so you can start having fun with celebrations. So to support you today, I am going to wear two different hats. First, my coach hat, and then my facilitator and project partner hat. As a coach, I don't give advice or lead in a direction. I listen, I notice, ask questions, I reflect back thoughts, and hold space to help my clients guide the session so that they can come to their own conclusions, make truly aligned decisions, and tap into their inner resources to take action in a way that feels good. So expect more open-ended, non-directive prompts. And as a facilitator and project partner, I'm still not prescriptive, but I bring in structure and gentle guidance, offering tools, exercises, frameworks that are a little more specific to support clarity and momentum while still co-creating the space. So expect slightly more leading exercises. And of course, as always, feel free to engage just with the ones that resonate the most. Okay, let's start with my coach hat. Here are 4 questions you can use to self-coach yourself to find some celebration ideas. You can pause and start reflecting or journaling if you feel drawn to it. What is one fun, pleasurable thing that you've been wanting to do for a while and keep postponing? What's one little thing that always makes you smile? Picture yourself in your happy place. What do you notice? How do you feel? Which activities usually make you feel that way? Think about those moments in your life that felt fun, playful, and full of pleasure and enjoyment. What were you doing? Where were you? Who were you with? Is there anything that sparks ideas for your next celebration? Okay, let's change hats. I am going to wear my facilitator and project partner hat now and give you 2 exercises. So the first one is to make a list of all the kinds of activities you enjoy. Aim for variety in terms of type and also time and effort required. So you will have a chance to celebrate even when your schedule or capacity are not spacious. Keep this list handy so you can refer to it anytime you want to do something to celebrate and seem to have no ideas. You could also make this list more specific, adding the kind of enjoyment you get from the activity. This can be helpful when you feel stuck on the decision of what to do. And you could also make it more playful by creating a celebration jar. So you will need a jar, some pieces of paper, and a pen. You will then write one activity on each piece of paper, fold it, and put it in the jar. When you want to decide about your celebration, shuffle and pick one piece of paper. Easy peasy. The other exercise is for when you're coming from a tough period and it seems you don't know what you like anymore. So in this situation, first of all, be kind to yourself, and then just allow yourself to notice what you feel drawn to. Start from there, try something and notice how it makes you feel. This way you can build your list the other way around, little by little, without pressure. Or if this doesn't work, use coaching prompts 3 or 4, the ones about your happy place or past pleasurable activities and experiences. Well, we've come to an end. I truly hope that the prompts helped you find some good ideas for your next celebration. And I'd love to hear about it if you want to share it with me. So that's it for today. I want to mention that if you'd like to keep in touch and more up to date with what I'm creating, the best way to do it is subscribing to my newsletter at caretoimpact.com/newsletter. Thanks for listening. Bye for now, and keep sparking your inner impact.